Hello and welcome to Transformation Time. My name is Carol, a transformational speaker, writer, blogger, and movable optimist, and I'm here to help you become the best version of yourself in your personal life as well as your business. Today is exciting. This episode is so amazing. We are still looking at self-love, self-image, and with me today I've got Chanda, celebrity makeup artist, image consultant, entrepreneur, and she's here to help you become the best version of yourself. Of course, we're going to be focused a lot on the ladies, but this topic is for everybody. Share it, talk about it, and make sure that you connect with us on social media once we're done with everything. So V, I just want to welcome you to the show. Thank you so much for having the time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming to Zambia, because I understand that you stay in the UK, isn't it so?
Yes, I do. I'm based in the UK and I am back and forth, like back home here. Yeah,
okay.
So
I'm really, interested in understanding why makeup, because there's so many people that are doing it, and you went out there into a large market that people already, they knew about makeup before us. Why are you doing makeup? Where does it come from? And what do you have to say to somebody out there who's thinking, maybe makeup is not for me? What does it do? Because, like I said earlier, in the background, that this season is really about helping people understand the reason why, self-image is really important, but it's also, tied to self-love. What can you tell somebody out there?
Well, first of all, makeup has been my game since I think turning 10 years soon. So
that's a long
something,
time.
Yeah, so exactly. So it's something that I did in the time when it wasn't actually a thing. So now, as I'm like I think I've hit my 10th year now.
All right.
I'm like, now everybody's like also a makeup artist as well. And I feel it's not, now understanding why I came into makeup was through the love of people, opposed to the love of makeup per se. So it's the love of people, the love of how people felt and how they reacted when I was finished with their service. And I fell in love with that feeling of the woman feeling complete, almost like feeling really good and beautiful. And I fell in love with that feeling. So, but now understanding myself more and understanding where I came from is through the love I have for people, to why I fell into makeup. Okay. Yeah.
Now, I spoke about you being a celebrity makeup artist. Some people don't really understand what that is, because we do have celebrities here in Zambia, and maybe it's a title that's been thrown around, but for the sake of somebody out there, what does being a celebrity makeup artist mean? What makes you different from the normal MUAs, as we call them? What makes you stand out?
I think most obviously that I'd work with VIPs, and that where it's not a place where I can't see my client and take pictures with her sometimes. I can't take pictures of the client. Some things are quite sensitive, so I have to hold that to a very high esteem and high level in service. Okay. So ultimately, that's the reason why I would be called a celebrity. And obviously, I'd work with celebrities, people I guess are of a popular, and and magazines, TV, all of this type of stuff. So that's what it is. So what else? You asked me something else that was
when it comes to the the passion of the makeup and what it means to somebody out there, because we are looking at self-love and self-image. How do those two tie in? Because somebody will be like, makeup is so vain and it doesn't really do much for somebody. It's for those kind of people. Yeah. What would you say to somebody who probably hasn't tried it or has tried it but obviously maybe holds back? I want to hear from you in terms of what self-image means to you, and what does makeup do? Does it really change somebody?
With makeup, you know what it is to me? I feel like it's like I decided to put this on today. I just feel like
nice, by the way.
Thank you. So do you.
Thank you.
It's like if I decided to put this on today, I just decided I wanted to wear something bright. I wanted to look this way or whatever, and that's what I see makeup as. However, I think there's a very thin line. I think you have to be very mindful of why is it that you're wearing makeup every day. Why do you want to look a certain way? It's all about enhancing what you really have, and that's one thing I stress as a makeup artist, which people find very odd. I stress the level of enhancing your beauty. Like, my art as a makeup artist is not to completely change you.
So we're not changing, we're just whatever I have, I'm then adding it on, or I'm making it come out. What do you really mean?
You're enhancing it, like, like I would say I like my eyes, so I might wear eyelashes that bring my eyes out a bit more in this end. It's just enhancing my eyes already. You might like your lips and say, you know, you've got the bright pink, and then you've got the little ombre.
Yeah.
Just to enhance what you already have. You know, it's just about enhancing what you already have been gifted with in life. Like, I feel like every single person on this earth is beautiful.
Some people don't feel beautiful without makeup. So you find that even as you know, obviously, you know, you're on the other side of doing makeup and people will come to you and request. But there are those who feel like without coming out the door with makeup on, they don't feel beautiful. Where do such emotions or, you know, such things, where do they come from, this mindset for somebody to say?
It comes from within. It comes from here. How are you affirming yourself? How are you looking at yourself when you don't have any makeup on? And I think one thing that's really important that I feel like everybody has to adapt and do, and I was actually saying this one of these days on social media, that talk to yourself without any makeup on. Look at yourself in the mirror and say that you're beautiful.
Look
at yourself it sounds really odd. It seems so odd, but you would hear it from somebody else. So why can't you hear it from yourself? And I think that's what's the important thing about it being from within.
Okay.
Like, we have to learn to love ourselves, and we have to learn to be able to tell yourself that you're beautiful. And it's not even in terms of vanity. It's just the more you tell yourself this, this might go into a whole different situation. But when we're talking about the brain, and we're talking about how the brain is such a powerful thing. Yeah. Like, the way the brain understands things is through what we say to ourselves. Like, you might look at yourself and you think, oh, I look so ugly without makeup on, I look so ugly. And automatically your brain picks that up. So the way that you talk to yourself is so important to how you feel about yourself.
But what if you talk to yourself with what everybody else has always told you? How do you know that this is my voice that I'm repeating, or it's somebody else's voice? Because if you come to me and you always tell me every time I put my ombre lip and I have my eyelashes and my makeup's done, and you're always telling me, Carol, you look so beautiful, you look so beautiful. And then when I go in the mirror and I'm telling myself I'm so beautiful, is it that for me, I always say this, and we spoke about this earlier, that validation for me, I feel, should be something that when you come to tell me, I already knew it. So how do I then know that this is something that I can believe, or I can make it into my own, even though I've heard it from you?
Yeah, I think, you know what's so important that a lot of people don't do is spend time with themselves.
It's scary.
It is. And I think the more you do that, you have ugly moments, but the more you do that, you learn yourself so much more. The times in my life that I have learned myself is when I've been by myself. So it didn't come from anywhere else, and I don't know what it is, but it comes to you. And that's the only thing I can say. I'm just like, trust me, it's gonna come to you, but you need to spend time with yourself. It's almost like when you meet somebody and you're like, I need to get to know them. Yeah. It's because you're around that person. Like, we're spending this one-to-one time. So the more we do that, the more we get to know each other. So if I sit with myself, it sounds so stupid and so odd, but that's the more I will get to know me. Okay. It's so important to spend time with yourself, and I think a lot of people don't do that, and we don't give ourselves that time. It's like every morning you wake up, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this, I have to. A lot of people don't even wake up to, like, just spend a couple of moments and just, you know, thank that you're awake. You're like, I've woken up.
I learned that this morning in my personal development about, you know, gratitude and just doing that the first thing before anything.
Exactly.
Why is that important though? I mean, I can be grateful at 10 o'clock, at 9. Why should it be the first thing?
Because it's like, again, that brain thing. It's something to do with your mindset and how it delivers for your whole day. It's like the first thing I do is pick up my phone, the first thing that I see on that phone is going to affect me for my day. Whether you know it or not, it's going to be at the back of your mind. So if the first thing you do is give thanks and, you know, have gratitude, affirm yourself for how amazing you are, beautiful, all of this, automatically you will automatically have a good day. It's like they say, you cannot be thankful and angry at the same time.
That's true though.
It's not possible. I can't be like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful that I'm alive, I'm so grateful that I'm this, I'm so grateful that I'm, and be angry at the same time. You can't. It's
having a hot head.
It's not possible. So if you have those moments, and that's the moment you're having to yourself, and all the guaranteed every day, you learn yourself. You learn to love yourself. If somebody says, oh, you've got beautiful eyes, oh, thank you, I know. We don't have, sometimes it can sound conceited, but you don't have to say I know, but you know it in your head that it's like, oh, thank you.
Now, one thing that you mentioned just before you say that was the aspect of beauty, and somebody wakes up and they know that they're beautiful, they affirm that to themselves. There might be somebody out there who's like, you know what, you guys are sitting there, you're looking all dolled up, but I can't probably afford the makeup that you do. And we were speaking about this to say, somebody is going to be like, I want to look like V, and I want her lipstick, I want her foundation. And in the quest to look beautiful, they start compromising on the kind of products that they use on themselves. Because for me, I feel like self-love should also care for the kind of things that you're putting on your body.
On your body,
but
in your body,
Africa.
in your mind.
Half the time, stuff is expensive, and people are going to say, but it's the same product, I look as good, and I can get it down the street, not to mention areas.
Yeah,
but people go to certain stores and buy stuff which is, you know, they know is fake. And if I can't afford it, B, what are you going to tell me? But I still want to look good.
I'm going to.
What are the long-term effects of that, or you know, in the interim?
Crazy long-term effects. I think if you just simply think to yourself that if I use a product that is not good for me, it could potentially ruin my skin and ruin me for the rest of my life. Therefore, you never even get to the place you want to get to, looks-wise, because you've already ruined it before you've even got there. So that alone should allow you to understand that. You have to, everything works with patience. You have to understand that I didn't always have been able to buy red lipstick. I wasn't always able to do certain things. Like, you know, we have to have patience, and we have to understand that where we need to go, it may not be where we are today, but we need to take steps. It's like going up the stairs. You can't fly up the stairs. You have to take a step to a step to a step. And that's with life. As long as we can understand that.
But for me, hearing you say that step by step, it's so funny because we're talking about all these things in the background. People don't have the patience. We want, you know, this is a microwave.
You have to adapt it. You have to adapt it.
Even with makeup, I know you've got 10 years, you know, coming from, you know, where you started.
Yeah.
Surely there must have been times where you thought, 100%. Is this going to work out?
All the time, even
because
today.
Some people don't have that patience with self-love and self-affirmation and becoming a better version of themselves, which is what this show is all about. What would you then tell somebody that when you're in the wait, what are some of the things that we can do, even if, you know, in the time that I'm waiting to look pretty and, you know, prettier, you know, according to what people say, they feel prettier with makeup. But there comes a point where you don't feel pretty, even if you put on makeup, because you're going through that journey. What can we do in that time?
But I think it all boils down to having self-love, because that's the thing. Whether if you don't feel pretty with the makeup on as well, that goes to show you that you have to work on something within yourself, you know? And I think it's everything. We have to adapt patience. Like, we have no choice but to adapt patience. I'm not where I want to be, but it doesn't mean that because I am not where I want to be, I'm not going to get up and do what I've got to do today. I just have to have that self-love and self-belief that everything that I need to do and I want to do in life, I'm going to get there. And I have to adapt patience. There's no if, buts, or maybe. I just have to. So I would say to anybody that wanted that is that you have to adapt patience. Like, there's no microwave about it. If you want something, like, technically there is, but the longevity of it is very different.
I think that is very key, because even speaking of longevity, when I think of the things that were said to me when I was, you know, my younger self, I feel like some of those things sometimes come back. But then what happens if you haven't really you know, I came from a different support system. It was really always positive, always you can do this and all that. But some people don't have that. I mean, you are Zambian, but you've grown up in the UK. You had a different cultural mindset.
I've actually grown up both. Like, I've grown up here and grown up in the UK. Yeah, so I've had the.
But half of your grown up.
100%. Yeah,
you know,
grown up there since
in
the UK.
In the
yeah,
UK. But
yeah,
for you
like my
to
older
be firm
years.
and to stand and say, you know what, I'm going to be a celebrity makeup artist in this, you know, country. Surely that didn't come easy. Where does the support come in, and does it matter who your support system is, or is it the quantity, is it the number? Because for me to feel beautiful, yes, I will feel beautiful, but if I feel like surrounding myself, nobody really affirms that, at what point does validation really matter?
It's really interesting that you said that, because even in my career, I had even mentioned this recently to an audience. I think I was speaking somewhere, and I was saying that my mum and my family, not that they didn't ever support me, but they only understood and respected what I did when everybody else, when I was at somewhere and somebody recognized me. And I actually posted a picture of my mom, and they recognized my mom, and they went to my mom and said, oh, you know, you're V Chanda's mum. And my mum was like, oh wow, okay. And she's like, Vicky, you're really like,
and then because everyone has this
really
sort of like ways of how you should be a pilot, a doctor,
right,
a nurse, a lawyer, all that stuff.
So I had to, so I had to go through the stage, a very lonely stage, but I had to validate myself. At times I didn't feel like, even when I thought I was validating myself, I was like, oh, am I really validating myself? Am I really, like, I just had to keep going, because there's a long time I didn't have support in like I always had support, like as a family support system, but in terms of like cheering me on for what I'm actually doing, I didn't.
Because being a creative is hard. It also requires a lot of transformation.
It is, exactly. So within that, I feel like you have to adapt a way of validating yourself, because you're not always going to get it.
And should that be consistent? Is it something that, do you have like a routine to being V Chanda?
Well, no, like, sorry, going back to that, it's like a really good analogy that I give people is that think about pregnancy, right? You're pregnant, you announce that you're pregnant, you're so excited. So that's your dream, right?
Yeah.
You're so excited. And then you go through the stages where you're not actually visually, you're not showing. And that happens in your stages in life. You're not showing, but you're excited because you know what's going to happen. Yeah. But everybody's not going to show you that excitement that you want, because they don't see it.
They're not aware.
They're not, exactly. Yeah. And then you go through the stages when you're big and you're about to have the baby. Then everybody again is looking at you and like, oh wow, okay, is it a boy or is it a girl? It looks like this, it looks like a boy, it looks like a girl, and all of this type of stuff. And then you also go through the stage where it's so hard when you're just about to give birth, right? It's so hard, just about to give birth. You feel like you're just gonna die. Yeah, you've had about enough. And then you have a baby and it's amazing. And then you forget about everything that you went through. And that's how I describe the journey to success.
Sorry for the men here, they probably won't understand. But
yeah, well, you know, but
it's an analogy.
It's an analogy. So it's like, that analogy to me is the best way of describing going through a journey and feeling lonely. And it's okay, because you still have an amazing baby at the end of the day, and you just have to, you as the person that has that dream or has that, you have to keep going no matter what. Sorry, and then you asked me something else, and then I've got lost.
And I really like that you've said that, because when it comes to what you were talking about earlier off screen, you were talking about how important it is as well to spend time with yourself.
100%.
And even on screen, you've mentioned it. And I feel like that's something that's really a part of you. But it's really scary for most people, because we always want to be around people. You know, you grew up in a home, you grew up around people in school, high school, you know, when you finish school, work, everything. Why is it so important to just, why can't you just,
like, for me, it's imperative. Like, I have to spend time by myself. It's something that I've put into my routine in life. Like, I have to have a weekend away, I have to have a night away, I have to have me.
Would you say that it's something that somebody has to do decisively, like they should make it a part of their life?
You have to, because you are important. You need you to get where you need to go. So you need to be sane, and you need to be okay. And you need to be comfortable, exactly. So it's important. You are important. Like, and I think we tend to forget that with anything that we do, and it's all part of self-love, and it's all part of the makeup of you. Like, what are you made up of, and how do you, and it's all makeup. It's all makeup, but it's not like makeup, it's still makeup. Like, we all have to.
And you know, delving into that when it comes to the makeup stuff, right now in Zambia, it's almost like the validation aspect of somebody from the outside validating you. It's really, really a big thing. And it irks me so much, because I feel like some people feel like they can never get to where they want to be, or they can never be who they want to be, because they need a certain level of affirmation, whether it's from college, it's from high school. And I feel, for me, that's the next generation. And also they're the change agents of, you know, transformation. You're back home, and you know, you're often back every now and then. Do you feel like you're doing something for the community, whether it's, you know, because obviously we live in a digital world, things have changed, but is there something that you feel, you know what, maybe in this area I can do so much? Because sometimes people don't know where to go. They don't know where to find V Chandas, you know, but they know that there's something inside of them, which, if you're not watching this show, you're probably, you know, there's somebody out there who's thinking, where do I get this help from? Because I always emphasize a transformation, that you need to go out there. What you've learned and you give it to somebody else goes a long way. What is your community service, so to speak?
I want to do way more. Like, the the more things get together, the more I would announce things that I'm doing in that aspect of things. But it's definitely something I'm highly passionate about. And I think it's the understanding and the knowing that I'm here today, but I don't have a university degree. Not saying that anybody shouldn't go to university, because it's very important. But my educational, but my educational background is not the norm to what you would say or think is what will get you to where you need to go.
And I definitely believe that there's certain things you can't learn, you know, on the outside that education, a formal education gives you as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I think like today people do go to school for makeup and people do go to, but I feel like it's just, if it's in here and you really want to bring it out, you will bring it out. Like, and that's one thing I want to be able to let people know, that if you want to do something, I know it's so cliche, but you actually can do it, because I'm not coming from somewhere that I've had like that, like my adult years, or as like from secondary school onwards, I didn't have that extra education that you would think one would have. Like, I'm dyslexic as well. I can barely like putting words together and stuff. I was saying it the other day, it's like, it's not the easiest thing for me to do, but I still have got myself to where I need to go. So irregardless of somebody, whether you don't have the means right now, you will, if you really want to do something, you actually can do it. Because I'm talking from experience, I'm talking from somebody that has been through things.
And I think it comes down to discipline, because for me, one thing I love about you is that you're consistent, you've got discipline, you're so organized. And that's something that really attracted me to your profile, because I kept on thinking, it's also not the norm, you know, common sense is not that common. But successful people and people that are high achievers, regardless of what people think out there, is that you need to be organized, you need to be disciplined. And I love the can-do attitude. I really love the can-do attitude. And I think it's something for me, obviously having grown up in Zambia, having grown up in Africa, I think it's a paradigm shift that people need to get to, because nobody will really come to you and tell you like what, you know, the things we're speaking about. Because I also came from a creative background where things were like, you know what you're doing. People only started appreciating the entrepreneur side, the creative side, when other people started noticing. But on a daily basis, people, you know, they have that challenge. And I'm really glad that we're having this talk, because transformation, like I was saying, it's an ongoing process. It's something that is progressive, and it's something that is gradual. But why do you think that so many people want the microwave thing? What has caused that?
I think it's everything us surrounding social media, everything people are seeing on TV. Like we were talking about things like filter. Like people see images on Instagram, or see images online and think, oh my gosh, they're so perfect, I want to be perfect. And I think it's not so, and people need to understand that it's not so. Like, there's filters, like, you know, there's filters, there's apps, there's a whole bunch of things that people do to make themselves look perfect. If you think about when, like, magazines, people, you never look like you look like in the magazine, because you got airbrush, you got all of this, and that's what we need to understand.
And good lighting.
Yeah, and good lighting. It's like this microwave thing is just, you have to understand, even like microwave food every day, what does it do to your insides? It's not good for you. So something fast-paced is not going to last.
But then we have the era of social media influencers, and you know, that brings pressure on somebody to be influenced, which is obviously their goal. But then what would you say to somebody who, you know, for me, I always tell people, slow down, you know, but we have such, you know, even for us, you know, in our industry, both you and I, at some point we've influenced some sort of either product or service. But at what point do you say, you know what, I need to draw the line here? Because social media influencers are also giving that whole microwave kind of thing, like your life can be made just like that.
Yeah, that's why I personally have a problem with influencers, is because it's you've got such a title. Like, I know that I'm an influencer, is because, and everybody that influences that, we have to understand that we're influencing a whole generation, and we could be influencing this whole generation to the pit of hell. And that is the unfortunate situation about the social media aspect of things, and of influencers, because you can, like, you have everybody's this like social media is our new TV, it's our new magazine, it's our new everything. So it's just something that we have to be mindful, and you just have to be smart about how you use it.
Speaking of that, because, you know, before we close off, we'll be closing soon, I just want to, you know, I want you to go back on what you've just said, that we, social media has become our TV, social media has become this and that and all that. But at the same time, people say it's hard to have time off. Do you get times off social media? Do you have like V time where you know what, I'm gonna put my phone down, I'm going to put I'm gonna close off my laptop, my iPad, everything? How important is that in the self-love and the self-image that we're talking
important
about?
It's crazy important. It's so important that you have to disconnect. Like I say, when I go to sleep, I put my phone on airplane mode.
But what if that's my
I
job?
have no business.
What if
It is your
like
job.
I
It is your
literally
job,
live
but
on
you
that?
need to-
When do I know when to time out?
You have to be disciplined. You have to have times, and obviously, some people's like now, I'm here and then you're working with different time zones as well, with different countries and stuff like that. You have to put that into consideration, of course, but it's just important to figure it out according to your lifestyle, according to yourself. Like, if you have to be online in the middle of the night, be online in the middle of the night. Then have an hour off in the middle of the day. So you just have to make it work according to your lifestyle, but it is all a part of self-discipline. If you look at the greats in life, look at like Muhammad Ali, the Usain Bolts, like when do they ever stop training? Why do we ever think that we need to stop training, like, and be disciplined? To be a great, you have to be consistent.
It's about discipline.
It is, like, it is in anything that you do, and this goes to everything.
Thank you so much. That has been very enlightening, and I know you're such a busy woman, so thank you so much for taking the time for us to chat and to influence and transform people's lives. I hope that we can do this again soon, whenever you have a free schedule, because I feel like there's so much more that we can
I know
about.
we can go on for days.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So that was it, guys. That was V Chanda. You can follow her on Instagram, on Twitter, and Facebook as well. And she's, like I said, she's a celebrity makeup artist, social media influencer. We're just talking about that. Image consultant and entrepreneur. If you also want to follow the show, it's Transformation Time with Carol. It's also available on the QTV page, Carol Mushota on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Carol Mushota TT. I hope that this episode has been helpful to you. Don't forget to also follow me on my website so that you can catch up with the blog. It's www.carolmushotatv.com. Thank you so much, and it's goodbye from us at Latitude Hotel on the other side. Bye-bye.